Hello and welcome to the Braves Postcast. I'm Grant McAuley. This is part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Thanks again for joining us. We are excited to bring this to you about each and every game that we possibly can. We're going to be talking Braves baseball with you all summer, and it's nice to be talking Braves baseball after a win. I'm going to be joined by Jake Mastroianni as we get to talk about what I feel like was a much more fun night at the ballpark. Jake, it's always better when the Braves come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you can get a W, but especially that first one of the year, it just really gets things going. The season is here. The Braves will not lose every game this year. They will get a win on the board. So, breath of fresh air there. I know for a lot of fans who were freaking out after opening day.
Yeah, there can be a little bit of that. Sometimes the first one is the hardest one to get, not just in the playoffs when we talk about those series, but for the Braves, when they open up, a lot of times it seems to be on the road and enemy territory. And there have just been some forgettable openers, some forgettable first series. But the Braves are not going to get swept in this opener as they pick up the 7-6 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to talk a lot about this here on the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. That's what we do. But before we dive in, I want to remind you, if you're new here, as we're all kind of new here, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta here on YouTube. Click that bell so you get the notifications every time we drop a new episode. And with that said, Jake, let's dive into this episode. As we mentioned, it was a 7-6 Braves win. The Cincinnati Reds, they really kind of spoiled the party for the Braves as they were celebrating that World Series title on Friday night, on Thursday night. But on Friday night, it was a totally different story. Reds did make it close, though, at the end. We'll dive into this a little bit later as Kenley Jansen's Braves debut was a little bit rocky, but 6 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, 4 men left on base for the Reds, who dropped to 1-1. Braves now 1-1 with that first win of the year. 7 runs, 8 hits, no errors, and 8 men left on base. Charlie Morton, the victor in this one, 1-0. Raver San Martin, he was knocked out early, 0-1 on the year. No save in this game, despite the close score. 3 hours and 7 minutes, a crowd of 40,234 were on hand to see it. And Jake, I really feel like as we look at the overall performance of the Braves offense, this was a lot more like it, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. And some really great at bats. I thought they took advantage of a young starter from the Cincinnati Reds in this one who was struggling with his command early on. But you got to give a lot of credit to the Braves hitters who laid off a lot of tough pitches. I thought opening night they were a little bit, probably amped up, I'm sure, chasing some pitches a little bit early on. And let's be honest, Tyler Mahley's a much more established, better pitcher in the big leagues. I get that, but still, the at bats were just much more high quality in this game. Austin Riley, in particular, I know he didn't have a hit in this game, although he hit a rocket in the eighth inning right at the left fielder. But I thought he had two of the biggest at bats in the game early
Mhm.
on, especially that walk to get the third inning going. He fell behind 0-2, took a really close slider, could have gone either way on 3-2, but got the walk and got that rally started that really, what we thought would put the game away there. But yeah, just much better at bats overall, I thought, tonight, particularly early in the game, and I got those early runs and allowed Charlie Morton and the rest of the pitching staff to kind of settle in.
Yeah, they say score early, score often. The Braves did both of those things. A lot better at bats overall. And I tweeted this out when it came to Austin Riley's walk that you were talking about. This is a hitter who has completely transformed himself at the big league level from what he was, a hit it early, hit it hard kind of guy in 2019 when he came up. He was on that prodigious tear, but it seemed like major league pitchers, as they often do, solved the riddle that was Austin Riley pretty quickly. And then it was up to him to adjust to those adjustments. And he's a kid I've covered since 2015. Since he was drafted, I've seen him at every level of the minor leagues. And it's the hard work, the dedication that has really paid off big time for what he's done, not just to improve himself at the plate. He's improved, I think, in the field overall, just as an all around player, but his selectivity the last 2 years has been the thing that's elevated his game. And even on a night he didn't get a hit, like you said, he was still in the middle of something good for the Braves. Speaking of good, couple of hits and 3 runs knocked in for Travis d'Arnaud on the night. Great to see him swinging the bat well after what he went through last year with the thumb injury. A healthy Travis d'Arnaud hitting the ball well, lower in the Braves order. That would be a big time bonus. And also, Matt Olson, not just his first hit as a Brave, his first 3 hits, a big multi hit game from him, nearly had a fourth as he had a ball run down on the warning track. But a great night from him on the offensive side. And Charlie Morton pitched into the 6th inning, and the night shift, for the most part, was able to shut this thing down with little to no problem until we got to the ninth when things got a little bit hairy for Kenley Jansen. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment as we get into the key moments and key performers of the game. But that is the 30,000-foot view of what helped the Braves to this victory here on night 2 of the season. Want to let you know the Braves postcast is sponsored by Built Bar. These are low calorie, high protein, high fiber, low carb. Replace your candy bars with these. They're better, as a typical candy bar can be anywhere from 2 to 300 calories. At Built Bar, they are all about taste, but they make it taste delicious first and figure out how to make it healthy. You'll be blown away by these. Go to built.com, check out all the flavors, and use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That is built.com. So, Jake, let's jump into the big moments and performances in this game. Let's start with Charlie Morton. We knew that this was going to be a big night for him because it was his first start since exiting that World Series game with a broken freaking leg. And Charlie Morton, he looked awfully good tonight. Braves have to be really encouraged by this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because the guy broke a leg, but I kind of expected it. I mean, it's Charlie Morton, you know? That's just what he does. That's who he is at this point in his career, which is just crazy to think about when he was first with the Braves to the pitcher that he is now. But
Free guy.
I mean, I expected nothing less out of him, honestly, and he looked fantastic. Like I said, he got that early lead and then just shut things down after that. And you just kind of felt like the game was over, you know, with the way he was pitching. Obviously, you know, a perfect game through 4 innings, I believe. And Joey Votto had that leadoff single in the 5th inning. So, I mean, just an incredible performance by him. I know it's only the second game, but you can't consider this, you know, a shutdown start. But, you know, to get that first win of the season after losing opening day, you know, that's the kind of things you want to see Charlie Morton do throughout the season. You know, after a tough loss like that, come back, shut things down the next day. And yeah, he looked fantastic. He liked the Charlie Morton, you know, we all expect to see.
Yeah, and the big thing I think about it, Charlie Morton, in addition to just the way that he goes about things, is exactly what you said. He's kind of a stopper of sorts in that rotation where maybe the Braves are in a slide. Again, game 2 of the season. We're not calling it a losing streak or anything like that, but you feel like you've got the chance to win every time this guy takes the mound, and he helped the Braves do it tonight. 5 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs charged to him. One while he was in the game. One was an inherited runner that came across as AJ Minter got in a little bit of trouble in the 6th inning before getting the Reds out of that and extinguishing the fire that he might have thrown a lock or two on. But 1 walk, 5 strikeouts for Morton. Fastball looked good. The curveball looked great as well. Really had everything going and looked like the Charlie Morton, the vintage Charlie Morton that the Braves need in rotation every 5th day. We talked about Matt Olson, 3 for 5 in this game, Jake, and you'll take a 3-hit game any night, but I thought his best hit of the night was one that got tracked down on the warning track by Nick Senzel. And I think that if you look at what Matt Olson brings to the party for the Braves, there could be a lot of these kinds of nights, and it might be an evening in which the Braves score a whole bunch of runs as a result.
Yeah, it was an amazing night for Matt Olson. You look at what he did. You know, he smoked a ball through the shift for a hit. He took a ball the other way for a double. And then you talked about the line out that he had. You know, that the hardest hit ball of the night, I believe, was 107.9 miles per hour, launch angle of 24 degrees. That ball is gone on most nights. And like we talked about before we started recording, in the summer, that is long gone. It's probably 10 rows back. He absolutely crushed that ball to left center field. You know, an opposite field blast for him. So I feel so happy for him. I want to see him get off to a great start. I think it's important for him and the Braves. And I know it shouldn't matter as much, but to the fans as well, just being introduced to who he is, the type of player that he is. I think it's very important for him to get off to a good start in a 3-hit game. And that's a great way to do so.
Most certainly. He's already been on base, 5 times over the first couple of games. He's shown an advanced approach at the plate as well. He'll take his walks when he needs to. He's going to get his hits as well. Again, Travis d'Arnaud, 2 for 4 on the night, drove in 3 runs, including a big 2-run single that highlighted a 5-run 3rd inning in which the Braves really opened this game up. And as it turned out, they needed every single one of those runs by the time this game was done. Kenley Jansen came on in the 9th inning, a non-save situation. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky for guys that have been known to just be the guy that's supposed to come in and get the save. But I don't know. Kenley seemed to, it took a moment. He walked Joey Votto to get started, but then kind of the victim of some bad luck. The Braves were playing in some shifts. Some balls got through the infield. It got very interesting there in the 9th inning, dramatic, if you will, but he was able to get the job done despite allowing 3 runs on 3 hits. What was your take and impression, I guess, of the first outing for Kenley Jansen in a Braves uniform?
Yeah, I chuckled at the beginning when you said the score was 7-6. It doesn't seem like it was a
That way.
7-6 game. Yeah, and you said it. I mean, just a little bit of unfortune for Kenley Jansen. He was a little erratic coming in, and look, a non-save situation. His first game with a new team, a different team. You got to imagine the emotions were a little high there, so you kind of understand that. Nothing hit hard. There wasn't a ball hit over 85 miles per hour against them. You talked about the Farmer hit, just kind of an inside out swing that beat the shift the other way. So nothing alarming here at all. I hate it for him. He and McHugh now kind of bad introductions to Braves fans, but they'll be okay. They'll be just fine. Not worried at all there.
Yeah, they say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But I think both of them would rather have had some quiet innings in their debuts. But a win is a win. As I said on Twitter, I think that is just something that you have to hang your hat on. Just get that first one, and you'll figure things out as they go. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's happening tomorrow night. Before we do that, though, I did want to go out to the Twitter sphere and see what kind of comments and questions and things have rolled in tonight. I got some interesting ones and some good observations as well. Melvin Robertson, who's been following me for a long time, said Cincinnati has as many soft doink hits in this series as the Braves have hit rocket outs. And that has really felt like the past couple of days. The Braves offense hitting the ball hard. Cincinnati, meanwhile, they got luck on their side.
Yeah, 5 balls hit by the Braves tonight, 100 miles per hour or harder. Only one of them went for a hit. So, definitely a lot of misfortune in this series, for the Braves and the Reds, taking advantage of, again, beating the shift, but also just finding some holes, getting some weak hits here or there. That stuff's going to happen from time to time.
Yeah, one more from Jerry Temple. It's almost like whoever takes over that ninth inning job here has to go through an indoctrination period of rough outings before they settle in. It was Will Smith struggling a bit before he clicked in the second half in the playoffs last season. And I think that, I mean, that's really the thing. All these wins and losses in April, they count as much as the ones in September and ultimately help get you to October. But as Kenley Jansen gets more innings, Colin McHugh, whoever it may be, you got to figure that they're going to play a pretty large role in any success that the Braves have throughout this season. We're going to take a look at what's going on Saturday night at Truist Park, another big night of this championship weekend for the Braves. Before we do, though, I want to tell you about betonline.net, your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, as well as podcasts and reviews for all of the different leagues. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. That's betonline.com, where the game starts. Now let's turn our attention to who's starting for the Braves on Saturday night. It's going to be a big evening as the Braves are getting their World Series championship rings. We haven't even seen these things, Jake. We're excited to see this reveal. I know the players are going to be excited to get these things. It's going to be Kyle Wright against Vladimir Gutierrez in Game 3 as the Braves and Reds meet at Truist Park at 7:20. What are you expecting out of that the pitching matchup as a battle of young right-handers will be happening?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to say, but this is the biggest game of this series for me, and pretty much every time Kyle Wright takes the mound right now, because for me, he is one of the biggest keys to this season and needing somebody else to step up in this rotation. And I think Kyle Wright is the guy that can do that, but we got to see consistency out of him. We got to see the Kyle Wright we saw in the World Series, the Kyle Wright that we saw at Gwinnett last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his first, go around for this season. This is his shot. And, perhaps is his last shot. I don't know. He's still, a young guy. I'm not trying to put that on him, but he knows that. We all know that. I want to see that. I'm rooting for the guy extremely hard. So I hope he gets off to a great start on Saturday to this season.
Yeah, it would be a big one for him. It would be a big one for the Braves. And this is a big opportunity for a kid we've been hearing about for years, a first round draft pick by Atlanta, but he's never really gotten that full, long, uninterrupted run in the Braves rotation to truly see what you have there. Some of that's been the results, some of it's been the numbers game and other prospects who quite simply just pitch their ways into opportunities. And Kyle Wright kind of had to get bumped back in line when that happened. But he came up huge for the Braves in the World Series last year and an opportunity to finally perhaps solidify a spot in the Atlanta rotation. Again, it'll be Kyle Wright, Vladimir Gutierrez. 7:20 is the first pitch at Truist Park. That, of course, is Eastern time. Jake had a blast here on our maiden voyage of the Braves postcast. It's good having you here with me. I look forward to doing this a lot this summer, and we appreciate you out there for joining us here on the Braves postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click the bell so you get all the notifications when we drop a new episode of the Braves postcast. So for Jake Mastroianni, I'm Grant McAuley. That'll do it for us. Once again, your final score: Braves 7, Reds 6. This series now even at a game apiece as they meet for Game 3 on Saturday night. We hope you'll join us tomorrow on the Braves Postcast. And for Jake, I'm Grant. So long, everyone.